If you are in that state of subluxation and nervous system dysfunction, and then you're exposed to the 3Ts and a toxic, nasty, stressful lifestyle, you're really going to get sick, because the 3Ts are bad on their own. We're not dismissing them from blame. They're not good. Physical trauma is not good. Toxins aren't good. Mental, emotional stress isn't good. But the worst not good is to not be able to adapt to them, not be able to be resilient to them. All right, chiropractors and chiropractic students, welcome to the Family Practice Podcast. You know, the one you've been waiting way too long for, because this podcast will actually stay focused on chiropractic. Not only what it takes to get world-class clinical results for kids and families in your community, but also what it takes to build a legendary, incredible family practice that takes care of your family way beyond your dreams. I'm Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'll be joined by Dr. Matt Hill, Dr. Ellie Wright, Jackie Jakubowicz, and incredible guests, chiros, associates, CAs, all these folks making massive impact around the world. We're going to cover everything: pediatric, perinatal, family practice. This is the podcast you've been waiting for, because moms and dads and families have always needed us. Now they're finally ready for us. I hope you're ready for the Family Practice Podcast. Let's go. All right, chiropractors, chiropractic students. Oh, us confused, diluted, often so wildly distracted lot of us chiros in this beloved chiropractic profession. This episode is going to leave you with a little or a lot, depending upon where you are in this story framework yourself. It's going to leave you with a little or a lot of a gut punch. So this entire episode is based upon a story, the most pivotal, impactful, gut-punching, heart-wrenching, thank God I went through this moment and God sent me this moment story of my entire career. I don't know that I'll ever face one as pivotal in just really interpretation, understanding, clarity. And if you want to know why this story that's going to really provide you with clarity, if you want to know why clarity is so damn important, because you need clarity to make a clear and confident and certain decision. And you need to make clear, certain decisions to take effective actions. And so even though this episode is all about this story of mine, I want you to know it's a very action-packed episode. I want you to know that there is all sorts of strategic business, practice building, take-home ability in this one. And if you don't listen to this story, and you probably are living this story yourself unbeknownst to you, just like me in the moments leading up to this, years leading up to this, and it'll actually limit your growth. It'll subluxate your growth. It'll stunt your growth if you don't listen to this story all the way through and really take the context and really take home the absolute truth and reality and strategery that's going to come through this story. So I better get into it, huh? All right. Well, first, it's important to, like any good story, to set the frame. We got to set the scene here. Okay, so I graduated chiropractic school in 2007. First, just a real short brief on this. Growing up, as I talk about on all my content pretty much all the time, I grew up as Iowa farm boy. So flat out, I mean, we're talking cattle, corn, your classic Midwestern family. And I grew up in it. My parents especially grew up, just like everybody from my generation, they grew up in the better health through chemistry age. So the medical, pharmaceutical, big food, big ag, big chemical companies just took over during our parents' and grandparents' generation. So it's absolutely passed down to us. So I grew up on Doritos. I grew up on freaking frozen pizzas. I grew up on, if you're from the Midwest, you might know what the Schwanzman is, which is processed food, dropped in a deep fryer full of vegetable oil. And then you name it, we ate terrible. So there was no chiropractic in my life for 20 years. We were definitely not a chiropractic family. It actually took like 10 years of me being a chiropractor to get my dad to stop pronouncing it chiropractor, okay? Thankfully, though, my dad, my parents, we weren't a chiropractic family. We weren't a nutrition and healthy family. But thankfully, we also weren't a medical family. The farmer mentality and philosophy, let's call it, is actually very aligned and very congruent with chiropractic philosophy. Fix it your damn self. We don't have time to go into town and be babies and see a doctor. You don't even have time to go into the house and take some medicine from the cabinet. Just freaking tape it up, rough it up. Literally literally, when you hear about farmers farmering things together and using duct tape, do you know how many literally gaping wounds I saw my dad duct tape himself? Do you know how many nails I stepped on and gashes I have in my head and legs and arms? And do you know how often we went to the doctor or emergency room or urgent care or even inside to get a first aid kit for those? None is the answer. We were working cattle one time where we actually kind of like take, this is going to sound harsh if you love cattle, like if you're a big cow fan, which I am, by the way. Steak is freaking delicious. If you separate the mom cow from the baby cow, which is just how this works when you have a cattle operation, the mom doesn't always like it when that time comes. You don't do it right away. Okay, I shouldn't tell this story. Sorry. If the name of your practice is PETA Chiropractic Clinic, I'm in trouble with you right now, but the story's pretty good. So I'm just going to finish it because I'm already on third base. And so we were working cattle. My job was to get the little one away from the mama, freaking 1,800, 2,000 pound, cow heifer on this. And then my dad would close the gate and we would kind of separate them and get everything moving to where they needed to be. And the mom charged the gate. My dad's finger was still in it. It's one of those gates where you have these little clasps in between and the little notch runs through and then it latches. Well, my dad's finger, so there's literally no room for this metal clasp to happen. And my dad's finger went through it and then he had to open it back up. Pulled his finger out, which basically pulled his finger off. And I just remember, I'll never forget this story. I'll never forget seeing this, just like the story I'm going to tell you about chiropractic. But this is a fun one. So Midwesterners are going to love this. So my dad's finger is just hanging down from that. And he literally just stuffs it into a glove. And we worked for about another 6 hours working cattle because the vet was there, the semis were there, everybody was there that needed to get this job done, and farmers just get jobs done, even if their finger needs to get detached. Now, that time, he actually did go back. He did go to the hospital later that night, had them stitch his finger back together, but not after 6 hours of just letting it dangle. Okay, so that sets a little bit of frame as to, I promise, you're like, what does this have to do with what I'm going to learn about my chiropractic clinic and family practice? Hang with me. You're going to freaking love this episode. It's going to be, not that story, but I've told the story that I'm setting the frame with many, many times in live events, and it is the most transformational OSHIT, holy cow, moment for so many chiropractors of this era of practice because we're taking ourselves off track. We're completely getting in our own way and none of us even know we're doing it. So what I'm trying to say with the farmer stories is I didn't grow up wellness, but I also didn't grow up medicine. So I maybe had this nice alignment with chiropractic, which says the body is meant to heal itself. Give it time. We just accelerate that time with getting adjusted. So, because my dad's theory was give it 3 months, it'll fix itself. And I just tell him now, give me 30 days with adjustments and I can optimize the nervous system and it'll fix itself better. So you were always right, Dad. I just want to optimize that path and timeline. All right. So then I go to chiropractic school. And when I get into chiropractic school, I am blown away by the miracles that I saw working in a clinic in undergrad, a subluxation-based nervous system-focused Gonstead chiropractor. So in chiropractic school, I am a full subluxation nervous system philosophy-loving chiropractor. I found the right mentors. I found the right clubs. Like I was dipped firmly in chiropractic. I asked questions in philosophy class to learn more. I asked questions about the science of subluxation to learn more. And I definitely had more of a science trump card, and philosophy took a while for me to figure out. But I had incredible mentors. When I opened my practice and this story where it's going to come to life, I absolutely was obsessed with telling my patients about subluxation and how it affects the nervous system and how essential and absolutely transformative it is to get adjusted and to not have subluxation in the way of their family's quality of life. So I've never been a chiropractic pansy, okay? I've never limited subluxation. I've never not talked about the nervous system. I never didn't have the insight scans. So the reason I share that right here to set the frame to this pivotal, life-changing story is I thought I was absolutely preaching and teaching subluxation, nervous system dysfunction, the power that made the body heals the body. I thought my patients were picking up what I was putting down about how badass and kick ass chiropractic is and how much it's essential for them to make that a priority and a foundation in their life, never go without it. And I wasn't doing near as good a job as I thought. And this moment in time, talking to this mom at the Dolphin Swim Club would literally freaking open my eyes to how off track I was to what I thought I was actually doing, because Also, when I grew up in chiropractic school, as I like to call it, I grew up in the wellness era. So big food, big pharma, big ag, big chemical companies had taken over. And during my generation, as both a chiropractor and a parent, it's been this great awakening, finally, thankfully, that we are way off track with our lifestyle. So conversation about the 3 T's. So when you get into chiropractic, many of us get caught up in this question: what's worse, the 3 T's or subluxation? What should I address first? And I very want you to hear that word first. Which should I address first to make the biggest impact in my community? The 3 T's and be a lifestyle coach and a nutritionist and a fitness instructor and a psychologist and a counselor? Should I address the 3 T's with my patients because 3 T's cause subluxation? Or is it a bigger deal? Should I focus all my energy, all my time on subluxation, adjustment, and the nervous system? Because here's the scoop that I didn't know because I didn't have enough great teachers to teach me this differentiation. And I'm ranting, but you need to hear this. The 3 T's do not cause subluxation. It is the inability to adapt, which is what subluxation causes the body and the nervous system. Subluxation puts the neurophysiological system in a lowered resistance, less adaptable state. And if you are in that state of subluxation and nervous system dysfunction, and then you're exposed to the 3 T's and a toxic, nasty, stressful lifestyle, you're really going to get sick because the 3 T's are bad on their own. We're not dismissing them from blame. They're not good. Physical trauma is not good. Toxins aren't good. Mental, emotional stress isn't good. But the worst not good is to not be able to adapt to them, not be able to be resilient to them. So if you just right there in my 3-minute rant had an aha, it's not your last one of this episode, I promise you this, because we're not even to the story yet, but if you just had an aha moment that went, how come nobody taught me that? I still thought the 3 T's cause subluxation. And in 3 minutes, talking really fast, you actually provided more clarity. You lived the same life as me. It took me almost freaking 7 years. I was in school 3.5, in practice 3.5 years when this story happens. And this story is actually what was my catalyst and spark to finally figure out, because it caused this massive internal freaking philosophical, mental, emotional, scientific debate inside my own head as to what am I doing here? Should I be more focused on wellness and lifestyle for my patients, or more focused on subluxation and optimizing their nervous system and rebuilding and maintaining and promoting their resilience and their adaptability through kick-ass optimal nervous system function? I was trying to do both, and that's where this profession is caught. Same place I was. And if I had a priority, if you'd asked me what my priority was, I'd have said the latter: subluxation, nervous system focused principle chiropractic, because I learned the techniques on that, right? But I didn't learn the difference. And I didn't learn how to communicate this effectively to my patients and my community. And it would take one mom massively dropping the curtain and revealing how much I had missed that mark in this story to tell me. So I grew up with incredible mentors, Dr. Chestnut. I went to the ICPA seminars. And the ICPA seminars, I got a lot of great pediatric chiropractic adjusting technique. But really what they taught me was to be this kind of jack of all trades, family wellness. I'm a good student. So I went out and I got a postdoctorate chiropractic wellness certification. And then I got my pediatric certification through the ICPA. And when I graduated from those 2 certifications, I got done with them both around my 3rd year of practice. And that's what my practice was. I represented the wellness era that was absolutely all over my chiropractic education. So fitness and rehab and nutrition and lifestyle modification, that was part of my standard chiropractic curriculum. And my wellness certification and my family wellness certification, it's right there in the name, they were definitely more bent to that than principled neurologically focused chiropractic. That's just how those programs played out. And I know this to be true because I am a freaking absolutely humble, hungry, always learning, and I will immediately take what I learn and put it into action sort of student. There's no debate with me. There's no theorizing that I know better with me. There is learn, do, and then find out. I thought I was going to learn how to be a more kick-ass, focused, incredible subluxation assassin, nervous system optimizing chiropractor. And instead, that started to take a backseat. So with all that, here's the story. And you needed all that. I wanted to go deep into setting the frame because what I just talked about, what I just taught and really pulled differentiation and contrast in, no judgment, by the way, because if wellness is your mission, wellness is your mission. You just don't need to be a chiropractor to have wellness be your mission. You could be a mom with no education whatsoever and start a wellness company. You could be anybody and everybody other than a chiropractor and be a wellness practitioner, a wellness advocate, a lifestyle, nutrition, fitness, instructor, and all those sort of things. But man, only a chiropractor can be a chiropractor. And so here's the story. So it's a Friday, okay? The way I've always done my life, and I'll teach you and talk about this on the podcast all the time. There's another kind of farmer, southerner, Texas saying that says, be where your boots are. So I built my life, other people will call it balance. I don't like that word. I just love my life wherever I am. And I've interwoven it to just love when I'm at work, as other people call it, I freaking love that. When I'm dad, when I'm husband, when I'm at the farm, I love everything I do. And I had great mentors teach me this, whether I'm adjusting or at home as a dad, I'm PTC. I am present time consciousness. I am there. That's the mode I'm in. So for my entire career, even early on, I took Fridays off and I was dad. And my kids were little at this time. So I had Addison Oliver at Dolphin Swim Club for swim lessons. This was a great place then for my wife, who was with them. When I'm in the clinic seeing patients, she's with the two little turkeys. We had 2 at the time. We now have 4. And she would go to the gym. She would get a workout in or go for a long run, depending upon the season. And I'd take the kids to Dolphin Swim Club. I'd get in there, get them all changed up, get them in the swimsuit. I don't want to go swim, Dad. I know, but I don't want you to, we knew we were going to build a pool one day, so swim lessons were important. So I digress. I get them in the pool, and then you sit there. And if you've ever taken your kids to swim lessons at a place like Dolphin Swim Club, it's exactly what it's like a kinder care meets swim lessons. Bright colors. It's all kid stuff, right? And there's a huge glass wall between where the parents sit, chairs facing the pool, and then the kids swimming. I've always thought that was a great idea because you can watch your kids, you're so cute, go get them. But then your kids can also see you and freak out and want to get out of the pool, which happened a lot. Sorry, Oliver, to throw you under the bus, but Oliver really didn't like this. Maybe his instructor just sucked, okay? But it also makes sense because he had a hypoxic pulmonary challenge at birth. So we really needed Oliver to stay in there to get over his fear. Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. You're now 15 and can beat me up. But I'm telling that story there. So he cried a lot at swim lessons, guys. Okay, sorry, Oliver. Really sorry. And so that just got done happening, and I get Oliver back in there. And by the way, now he thrives. He's amazing, okay? He dives head first. Just if you understand birth trauma with that, you'd probably understand why he didn't love it. Okay, all right. It's my boy. Got to give that little, final lesson there. So long story short, I get him back in the pool, and now he's happy, and now he's swimming, and he's doing his thing with Addison, and I sit down, and I'm kind of like, whew, awesome. And this mom comes up to me, and I recognize her. It's Cindy. And I'm like, Cindy, hey, how are you? Now, here's what the chiropractors in a family practice model need to know about this story. The details really matter with this one. Cindy was a former patient. Most important word for you to take the lesson from this story, Cindy's a former patient. Now, I'm only 3.5 years into practice, so it's not like she could have been that former, right? But I hadn't seen them in at least, 2.5 years. They were actually patients of mine when I was an intern with Dr. Cody, and he was one of the only families that he let me step in and adjust. They were just pregnant. They were just starting their family. So right around, their kids were the same ages as ours, which is why they were there doing swim lessons. And it was really a pivotal family for me with them to trust me as such a young doctor. They actually lived in the town where I was opening up, and Dr. Cody was just an incredible mentor, one of those real bigger voices for chiropractic. And he actually was more than cool. He encouraged this family to stop driving the 20 minutes to his practice and make life easier for them. And he transferred their care to me when I opened up PWC. Unbelievable, right? Which has the word wellness into it, which is where another reason I went off track, all right? And so Cindy and their incredible family are some of my most foundational, you'd almost kind of call them founder patients. Now, they got scanned, they got adjusted. I remember the dad is brilliant. He's very analytical, and the mom is a rock star and has tons of questions too. I remember having countless conversations with them during my internship and first year of practice about subluxation, about the nervous system, about scans, and about how important the nervous system is. But here's what Cindy said to me that day. Oh, Dr. Tony, it's so great to see you. I'm so sorry we haven't been in forever, but don't worry. We still are doing all the things you taught us to, look, they're here, they're exercising. Tony and I go to the dad's name is Tony. We go to the gym all the time. We're very active. We go outside, we play, our kids are swimming. We take all of our supplements that you taught us all about. So they take their probiotic, their whatever. I don't know if she listed them out, but she literally just kept going on. Now I'm going to come back to the freaking word all. While she continued to talk and tell me all the things they were doing besides getting adjusted, because they no longer were, which is the one thing that I realized in that moment cut me up inside and out. And she went on to name the probiotics. She said, oh, and we definitely don't vaccinate. We are doing all the things you taught us to do. And she gave me the biggest, most heartfelt, incredible, deep squeeze hug, you guys. She was so stoked to see me. It was a ridiculously positive, incredible, heartwarming moment for me. While also, if you get through this episode and you pick up what I'm putting down, and I'm going to finish this here, it also just tore me apart. I was so heartbroken. Now, how could I be in that duality of emotions at the same time? I was stoked to know that this family lived the wellness lifestyle like mine. I was so excited that they were going to prioritize healthy nutrition. They weren't going to vaccinate and pollute their kid with toxins in their food or in their bloodstream. I was so excited they were active and physically there. And I was so excited that I had played a role in helping guide this family to a healthier life than the average American family of four. But in the same breath, and much more of a bigger issue in that moment, I got torn apart because I realized in her understanding of what I had taught her, that was all they needed to do to be healthy. Did you catch it, everybody? They hadn't been adjusted in over 2 years. What she said is, oh, we miss you. We haven't seen you forever, meaning we haven't been in the office on the tables to get ourselves and our kids adjusted forever. But don't worry, Dr. Tony, we're doing all the things you taught us to do. And I realized in that moment the lesson you need to take home. And if you're feeling this one and hearing this one, I don't want you to ever run into this. You probably maybe have, very similar. Isn't it suck when you run into patients who are like, oh, we love you. We haven't seen you forever. It's not their fault they're not coming in. It's yours. You missed something with your communication, your education, and getting them to understand that the foundation, absolutely instrumental, cannot not have it in your life, component of health is adaptability, resiliency, and neurological function. It's the most important thing, and it's not even close. It's more important than freaking probiotics. It's more important than going for a walk in nature. It's more important than anything because the nervous system runs everything. But she didn't get that because evidently I hadn't learned that in the right priority and pecking order to present it that way to my patients in my community. Because here's the very honest, no one ever told me, and I never would have on my own without Cindy that day realized I was making this mistake. I was putting chiropractic on the same level of importance as everything else. I didn't have a priority. I didn't have a hierarchy when I was teaching my patients in my community what mattered most first, because I hadn't been taught that. When I went back through the certifications I told you about and I thought about what they really taught me, I literally, in this moment, I went home that Friday and I just processed all this and I said, I'm doing what I was told to do. I'm doing what school told me to do. I'm doing what those 2 certifications told me to do. I'm doing what I saw all these everybody that taught in those certifications, that was the practice model they built. It was a family wellness practice that just so happened to have chiropractic in it. And I think we all mistakenly think that patients will understand what we know to be true. If you were to list them all out on the table and go, okay, getting adjusted, taking your supplements, yada, 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 what's most important? What would we all choose? Honestly, if you don't choose chiropractic, you really need to go back to square one and understand neurophysiology, neurodevelopment, and the absolute primal importance, pivotal role that the health of the nervous system plays, meaning if there's subluxation interfering with the function and the regulation of the nervous system, then that child, that patient has limited adaptability and limited resiliency. And even if they live a perfect life, they're still not living a healthy life, even if their lifestyle is on point. There's nothing more important than the nervous system. Therefore, there's nothing more important than getting checked and adjusted for subluxation on a ridiculously regular basis. It is not debatable because we know the science. And if you're listening to this and you're still, wellness Wally, and you're like, yeah, but I get your excuse. I get your yeah, but I get it. You're like, well, no, people can't just get adjusted, eat unhealthy, not sleep, have tons of toxins. No, but also, duh. Right? Like, do they not know that already? Are we the only ones? Are chiropractors supposed to rid the world of microbiome, dysbiosis, and parasites, and primitive reflexes, and tongue ties, and moms who are mean to kids, and they have psychosocial issues? And are we supposed to teach them how to sit, and teach them how to wear a backpack, and teach them how to get up and stretch? Are we supposed to teach them how to move and how to work out and have a meal prep? And who told us that we're supposed to have 173 jobs per patient? What other profession do you know that is successful by being a jack of all trades instead of a master of one? Do you ask your accountant for nutritional advice? Do you ask your lawyer to program a workout for you? Do you ask your dentist to check your nervous system? What are we doing as a profession, getting caught up, fully diluted, and distracted by wellness? I get it. Because we get mad, we get upset, we get into our hearts when we realize that people are living the medical lifestyle, which is a very non-wellness, natural health building lifestyle. But I want to send you home with this. I want you to know this. There's 3 truths that are all happening at the same time right now, okay? Number 1, the single most detrimental thing happening to kids and families in your community is not their lifestyle. It's the fact that they are more subluxated at an earlier stage of life. Learn the perfect storm from me and you'll know all about this. Kids are more subluxated and families are more subluxated and have more neurological dysfunction, dysregulation, and dysautonomia than ever before. And the natural health world, so conventional medicine wants to blame genetics. They're wrong. That ain't the whole story. And natural holistic health wants to blame toxins. And they're wrong. That ain't the whole story. They're not really wrong. They're just incomplete. If you're not teaching people about subluxation and the nervous system and how bad it is, and I'm the most glasses half full guy in the world, but I got to tell you, this is the most subluxated population of kids and families and patients you will ever be up against. So if you try and focus on anything other than the analysis and annihilation of subluxation and the restoration of optimal neurological function, if you try and master multiple trades, you'll never be a master. You'll never be at that level. You will always be watered down, diluted, and just like everyone else. No one wants to trust their children to a jack of all trades. They want to take their kiddo to a master of one. So number 1, if this episode and this story ruffles your feathers a little bit, and you got to really process this one, and you got to really think about this one, and you got to really go, man, I feel like I'm caught in the middle, but I might want to stay in the middle. I've diluted my brand, but I want to stay diluted because you're so for the wellness lifestyle. I just want you to go backwards to go forward and study, do the homework as to how bad subluxation is. When you understand the detrimental, real freaking life effects of subluxation, and that you are the only, that's point 2. You're the only one who knows about it. You're the only one who can do about it. So I want you now to just think logistically. I want you to just think strategically. I want you to put your business hat on and go, if we are the only profession in the world who can do anything about this, then I better just do that. That's a great niche to be in. Because pretty much anybody can change somebody's lifestyle. Nutrition. Pretty much anybody can become a fitness trainer or a fitness guru. Anybody with an iPhone and a YouTube or frickin' Instagram account can be the savior of wellness. They blow up. You know how many accounts are having building much bigger businesses and following on the back of wellness and lifestyle medicine, integrative this, functional that, call it whatever you want. Anybody and everybody else can do it. And even the pieces and parts that might need a little bit more education, they don't need a DC degree to do that. So wellness is the most red ocean, cutthroat, highly competitive, difficult to stand out and build a business in brand ever. Remember how I talked about we grew up in the wellness era? Yeah, it's here. Wellness is a $1 trillion industry, which is probably why it's so easy for chiropractors to get their freaking meat hooks, carnivore reference there, of course, dipped into it and stuck on it because they're chasing the dollars. but you're going right into, just like back pain and neck pain is completely red ocean. And if you don't know what red ocean versus blue ocean is, those are good marketing books. So read the books Blue Ocean Strategy and read the books 0 to 1, and then come back to this episode and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with point number 2. So study the depth of subluxation. Number 2, make a real business decision to realize that you want to be a master of one, and your niche is the nervous system. Your niche is subluxation. Your niche is pediatric, perinatal, and family care, nervous system focused, subluxation based, philosophically sound. That's a badass niche which you can blow up. Multiple locations, multi-million doctors, multiple docs, all cash, and transform people's lives as a result. Try and kill it in wellness, and you're going to get killed by the competition. Ask me how I know, okay? And then number 3 as well. This is really just 1 and 2 put together. They're just, again, it's just one reformatted and said a different way, because it's absolutely what that conversation with Cindy made me realize that I was completely doing wrong without knowing it. The mission and vision we have as family chiropractors can't be about 172 things. And if you want to simplify it and put it all together, I don't even think it can be about 2 things. Chiropractic and wellness. It needs to be about one thing, chiropractic. That's why people are hurting. That's why kids are struggling. That's why chronic disease is dramatically on the rise. Our genetics haven't changed in hundreds to thousands of years. And if you want to blame lifestyle, go back to the 1920s, 1940s, and 1960s and see if they lived healthier or less healthy than we do now. They were less healthy. There was vaccines, there was big pharma, there was chemicals everywhere. Lead paint, asbestos, cigarette smoke, terrible food, you name it. It was toxic 2, 3, 4 generations ago. So if you want to blame toxins for chronic illness and you want to rid the world of toxins, you're missing the boat. Because what we really study and understand with the neuroscience of subluxation and chiropractic is what has gone up more significantly, dramatically, and negatively in the last generation or 2 is the rates, as you would call it, of subluxation. How many kids are subluxated, but most importantly, the severity of subluxation due to the perfect storm is absolutely the number one thing causing kids to be so chronically sick and families to be so chronically sick today. So if you want a rallying cry, if you want a mission and a clear, focused, singular purpose, I can't think of a single freaking better one. Second place isn't even close than that. What'd you sign up to be a family chiropractor for anyways? You went to chiropractic school, not wellness school, not nutrition school, not life coaching school, all right? And I want you to see that for clarity, for congruency, and I want you to see that for opportunity. God bless, be well. I would love to personally, because I got real personal with this one. I got real with this one. I would love to personally hear your feedback from this episode. If you listen to this all the way through and you're here listening to my call to action at the end, will you find me on Instagram, DrT.PXKidChiro? Will you find me on Instagram and send me a DM and tell me what you thought of this episode? I want you to know if sharing the story third person hit you as raw, hit you as real, as it did me that day with Cindy at the Dolphin Swim Club. And I want to know this too. Please include this in your message. What do you plan to do about it? See you on the next one. Hey, Dr. Tony here, and I wanted to say thank you for listening to the Family Practice Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to the show so you don't miss a thing. Also, if you're looking for more content from us, you can absolutely subscribe to our newsletter, watch exclusive episodes on YouTube, and dive deep into the articles and blogs on our website. All of this is linked in today's show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.